Hello, dear viewers. This is your host, Jamie Fournier, welcoming you all back to VXI Conversations, now on its second season. Last year, we exchanged ideas and stories over 14 insightful episodes to introduce the business process outsourcing industry to a new audience. You, our avid podcast listeners. VXI Conversations, by the way, was born out of our desire to let as many people as possible know that there's more to the industry than just night shifts, calls, and customer service. Now, for our first episode for the season, we're about to start the conversation and discuss career advice and advancement. And who better to turn to than our BPO expert in the Human Resource Department? Please welcome Associate Director for Leadership Development and Career Management, Michael Guanlao. Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Hi, Jamie. I'm doing great. I have to admit, I'm a bit nervous, but mostly excited for our talk today.
Well, you're going to be our first expert for this season, and I'm so excited as well to have you on the show. Thank you so much for finding the time to be with us and for sharing
Mhm.
your expertise. And talking about expertise, let's start off with this, Michael. Tell us a bit about
Mhm.
your career journey in VXI.
That is a great question. It's been a wild ride because I've been with VXI for over 9 years now. And the funny part is, I actually applied to VXI as a fresh graduate. So
Mm.
I think it's a fairly common story. You know how it goes. You graduate, and there's a need to be a breadwinner for the family, but opportunities aren't quite there in your chosen field. So I went to my parents and I asked, well, what would be a good industry for me to explore? And they said, well, try your luck out with the BPOs around the city. And so I did.
Mhm.
And essentially, I kind of graduated on a Sunday, and on Monday, I was already at the recruitment hub here in
Wow.
VXI. So I started out as an agent.
Mhm.
Took me about 4 months to become a training specialist from there. And throughout the entire period, I was actually trying to apply to for a job overseas, and I actually received an offer by that time.
Mhm.
But I went to my boss then, and I said to him, "Boss, you know my background. You know I'm trying to be a breadwinner for my family, and I love working here, but I have to put my
Mhm.
family first." And my boss says to me, "Bro," because that's how he talks. That's the kind of
Mhm.
guy he was. I'm gonna support whatever you choose to do, but because I know where you're coming from, I want to help you see if we can find opportunities for you here with our company. So I said, yeah, okay, that sounds fair. And a few days later, he comes back to me and he says, hey, there's an opening in HR. I said, what's the opening? He said, it's about being a trainer for the leaders. I said, okay, that sounds interesting. And I applied for the job, and it turns out the offer was better. So I stayed,
Wow.
and I've been building my career in HR and in VXI since then, which is weird because my degree was actually in engineering. So
Mhm.
I'm a long way away from where I started from. But yeah, I think it's been quite a journey.
Quite a journey indeed. You really are the perfect expert to talk to when it comes to career advancement. I mean, kudos to you for making this all happen in just 9 years, and you were a fresh graduate. So, what an amazing journey you've had. I know that
Mm.
our listeners and viewers have a lot to learn from you, as do I. Now, a lot of our listeners and viewers are out there thinking of the next step in their career, or even fresh graduates like you 9 years ago. So, what things helped you the most in building your career in VXI Philippines? I know you mentioned a few
Mhm.
items earlier, but let's zoom in on that. What helped you the
Mm.
most, Michael?
I think with the benefit of hindsight, I can really point towards two things primarily. The first one was the mindset I had when I was first starting out. And again, with experience, you kind of tend to see what happens when people start from different places regarding
Hmm.
their careers. My mindset back then was, okay, I have to be a breadwinner. I want to support my family. That means I have to build my career. And I would look at
Hmm.
the higher leadership roles, the managers and the executives. And I knew for a fact that none of them had degrees that were specialized for this kind of work. One
Hmm.
site director was a graduate of nursing. So was my boss, for that matter, who is also now an associate director of his own program here in the company. And I know
Hmm.
that one of the executives who I deeply admire in HR has a degree in accountancy. So it wasn't specialized. There wasn't any specific educational background. So I thought, I know these guys don't have any superpowers. They're just as human as I am. Whatever they know,
Mm-hmm.
I can learn as well. So that leads me to my second point. I was very proactive in reaching out to my managers and mentors. I was very open to them and
Mm-hmm.
said to them, I want to qualify for an officer role. I want to qualify as a manager. I want to build my career as higher leadership. What do I need to do? What do I need to learn? Because it's one thing to have opportunities fall into your lap, and I
Yeah,
think it's also a different thing to try and seek them out and be ready for them when they come
I
in.
love that. I love that. It's knowing what you want as well. I love the first part of your answer where you talked about knowing what your motivation was. And at that point, of your life. It was supporting your family. So you knew you had to work hard. And I love the second aspect of your answer as well, Michael, wherein you emphasize the importance of having great mentors and a support system around you. And if there's one thing that is said time and time again in these episodes for VXI Conversations, it is exactly that so many people and colleagues support each other in this company. And you mentioned that was so important for you. And in a way or two, during this episode, you are a mentor to all our listeners and viewers out there. So let's talk about the learnings you can share with fresh graduates. 9 years ago, Michael, you were a fresh graduate before applying to this company. And you said you graduated on this day. 2 days later, you were at the recruitment hub of VXI Philippines. So, any learnings you can share specifically with the fresh graduates out there who might also be thinking about a career in the BPO industry?
Let's see. I mean, putting myself back into my shoes 9 years ago as a fresh graduate, not
Mhm.
having the experience in hindsight that I do now, I know that I had concerns then, which might be the same concerns that a lot of fresh graduates have nowadays.
Mhm.
And I would say the first thing is that people don't really fully understand just how equitable of an industry the BPO industry is. The background that we come from, whatever degree we accomplish or we finish, is really secondary to whether or not we can perform the role. It doesn't matter if you're ex abroad or new to the industry or switching industries. It doesn't matter
Mhm.
what your age bracket is, what your experience is. If you have the skills for it, or even just the attitude, because we can always train the skills later. We can
Mhm.
find a role for you. And I think
Mhm.
that was something which I would really like to have known back then. The
Mhm.
second thing, which um, is also important to know, I think, especially for those who are wondering if they'll be right for the industry, given their life goals, is
Yeah.
that it's also a great industry to be able to build both your skills and your resume, even for a global stage. I have a
Mhm.
friend who has since emigrated to New Zealand, and I know from her experiences that her background here in VXI was of tremendous help for her, not only
Mhm.
for the immigration process, but also in finding a job when she got there. So whether it's just a stepping stone or if you're looking to build a career here, I think there's a place for everyone.
I echo that. There is truly a place for everyone in the BPO industry, especially in VXI Philippines. And I'm going to repeat what you said, Michael. It doesn't matter what course you took up in college, it doesn't matter what your background is, because as you said, you will be trained for your role in this industry or in this company. So there's really a future for you here. But I also love what you said, you emphasizing the fact that you also have to know what your life goal is, whether this is a stepping stone or this is a lifelong career you want to build. This is the perfect place to start. And there's so many opportunities in the BPO industry and in VXI Philippines specifically. Now, you've mentioned a lot of things that truly helped you in your career, all the questions you asked, your mindset as well many years ago. But what advice would you give for those looking to build their own career? Michael?
Mm. That's that's a really fun question for me because over the past 9 years, I have now had the strange experience of being on both sides of the equation, being the person trying to build their career, and now being on the other side, um, trying to help my own team members build their careers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if I were to boil my experiences down into just four bullet points, it would be, well, the first one really is the mindset, because the mindset we start out with has a huge subconscious impact on what we do and the results we get. When
Mm-hmm.
people have a firm conviction that there are opportunities in this industry, that's going to give you very different results compared to if you think of a BPO as simply being a dead end job or a last resort. So you'll find people who start out with the same situation, and they wind up with wildly varying outcomes, and you can always trace it back to how they approached it at first. That's
Mm-hmm.
the first one. Second one is engage with your managers and your mentors with your career goals, because I think it will be fair to say that I have been fortunate regarding my own mentors. Uh, but the thing about only relying on fortune, on luck, is
Yeah.
that when you stay passive, when you wait for your managers or mentors to approach you, to reach out to you and ask if they can build your career, you're essentially leaving things up to a dice roll. It becomes a
Mm-hmm.
gamble. It's a lot better to take the initiative in approaching them and working
Mm-hmm.
together with them so that they can fully endorse you and be your strongest advocate when it comes to building your own careers. Third, and connected there, would be having an open mind when it comes to your tasks and projects, because I've seen a lot of people over the years be very close minded regarding their current roles. They think, oh, I have a job description, I have to follow everything exactly to the letter. But the problem with that mindset is it kind of locks you into just your current role. It doesn't give
Mm-hmm.
your mentor a lot of leeway to give you new projects, new tasks to build your skills and your resume. And that's a shame, because the more variety and scope you have under your belt, the more that you can build your resume, not only for internal opportunities, but even for external ones. Having a more intimate view of the career building process as a result of my role, I can really say that your boss is working behind the scenes to try and sell you to upper management. They say, "Hey, I have the perfect guy for the job." And the more you can have under your belt, the easier of a sell it is for the executive to say, "Yes, I want this guy in that role because of their accomplishments, because of their
Yeah.
skills, because of how you're endorsing them to me." And then lastly, I would say is avoiding a silo mentality, because I've also seen a lot of people think, oh, I started my career in this LOB, in this department. I have to stay in this department because this is where my expertise is. I mean, opportunities can come from any direction or department. And the most successful, again, are those who are ready for when they come in.
This is such great advice. And I believe a lot of those listening and watching right now can truly benefit from this. Thank you for sharing these pieces of advice with all of them, and me including Michael. This is going to help a lot of individuals out there have the right kind of mindset, have mentors out there who will help you grow in this industry, have an open mind as well, and know that opportunities can come from anywhere, and you have to be open to that as well. I mean, in this industry, Michael, I started in recruitment and then I moved
Mhm.
on to training without knowing that in the beginning, but it truly helped me grow. So thank you so much for sharing your advice with all of us. Now, 9 years in VXI Philippines, Michael, and I am in awe of your career growth. An associate director now, and you have the chance to lead a lot of individuals, and a lot of individuals are learning from you in terms of how they grow their careers as well. But let's go back to you. What kind of
Mhm.
impact has the BPO industry had on you? You said it yourself. You took up engineering in college,
Mhm.
and now you're in the BPO industry as one of the bosses in VXI Philippines. So, what impact has this career had on you?
That's a good question, because I know I said earlier that I actually had a degree in engineering. And for a while, it was a difficult thing for me to reconcile because I had those lingering thoughts, thinking, I spent how many years studying for this degree and I wasn't able to use it. And it wasn't until some time after that I came to a realization and acceptance that, working in this industry has still allowed me to pursue my life goals. And in terms of the impact, I think that's really the biggest thing because I was able to see my sister graduate. I was able to support her education. I was able to support my family. And even today, I'm making preparations to raise my own family. That's a
Amazing.
that's a really major thing. There's a second impact, which was not something I was expecting, and that was helping me realize that the Philippines has world class talent. And I know this because I tend to work very frequently with my counterparts in VXI's other regions in the US and in Jamaica and Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to being on that global stage, there's really a space for us to shine there, to be showcased on that stage, along with all the benefits that brings. And I think that's also a deeper truth for me, which was only really possible in this industry.
I love that. I love that you're making your life goals work and also helping others realize their life goals and grow their careers here. And I love that you're such an inspiration because time and time again throughout this conversation, you've been reminding us that there's home for everyone in the BPO industry and VXI Philippines specifically. And you have your floor or stage to shine in the global aspect. Thank you again,
Mhm.
Mike. When coupled with the right skills, and the professional attitude, career advice from our respected mentors can spell a big difference for our chosen profession and advancement. A big thank you once again to our BPO expert for today, Michael, for helping me open the second season of VXI Conversations with a bang. Truly insightful, truly helpful for everybody listening in on the conversation. It's truly shaping up to be a promising season once again. Before I let you go, Michael, can you share a few words of wisdom for all our listeners and viewers out there?
Let's see. I think I'm reminded by something a person I deeply admire once said. He once said, effective people are not problem minded, they are
Mm,
opportunity minded. They feed opportunities and they starve problems. I think that's very much a guiding principle, especially when it comes to career growth in any industry.
I'm going to remember that. They feed opportunities and they starve problems. Thank you so
Mhm.
much, Michael. Truly been an honor to have you on our first episode for season two. Now, to our listeners and viewers out there, you may not know it yet, but someone from or within your circle could be your very own mentor. And it's going to be crucial to your success how open you will be to that person's advice and guidance. Take a look at what it did for Michael, our guest for today. Once you're ready, go right on ahead and check out our career opportunities on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at VXIPH. Once again, you can see it down there. It's VXIPH. And also send in your resume at careersph at VXI.com. Once again, careersph at VXI.com. Candidates with or without BPO experience are very much welcome to apply, provided they are a graduate of at least high school, old curriculum, or senior high school with good English communication skills. Time flies indeed. If you loved our comeback episode, please do us a solid and subscribe to the podcast. See you on the next one. Your host, Jamie, signing off. Bye, Michael. Bye, everybody.